In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This month on Simulcast 255, we are talking about home media setups and cord cutting. We're going to cover some news as well. We'll talk about it all right here on the Simulcast. So it is Thursday, July 27th. I'm your host, Bill Stebbins, and you are listening to Simulcast 255. We do this monthly-ish. And I am joined by two co-hosts tonight. First up, Patrick Vergadamo.
What's up, Bill?
What's going on, Patrick?
Not much. Ready to hear about your home media setups.
Oh, aren't we all? And also listening intently is Brian Feldhouse.
Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
If I was any better, I would be on a beach sipping margaritas somewhere. But
yeah, I hear that.
Talking to you too.
I hear you.
Yeah,
glad to be here.
And if you're wondering, Donnie is not able to make it tonight. He is out of town. He actually met up with Clay Russell today. So if you want to see pictures of that, go to their Twitter accounts. And if you don't know their Twitter accounts, then you don't know us very well either. But hit us up and we can let you know how to find that picture. It's kind of cool.
And Donnie's in the show notes, his Twitter.
That's right.
Yep.
And Clay Russell is probably pretty easy to figure out. So let's talk about what's going on in the world of technology. We'll cover a few things like this, and then I want to get into the panel topics, which we only really have one this week, and that's going to be home media setups and cord cutting. I guess that's two, but it's kind of a broad spectrum. We all have some different aspects on that, and so we'll share our thoughts on that as well. So first up, Samsung Pay might be coming to other manufacturers' phones. This one piqued my interest a little bit when I read it. I think it was yesterday that they were starting the rumors.
Yes.
Quite frankly, Samsung Pay is a better implementation over Android Pay, and that's simply because of the way that they allow you to use Samsung Pay where you couldn't use Android Pay. And I don't know what the magic is and how they emulate the card, but you can pretty much use it everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly the way they're looking to implement this is that Samsung is offering to basically allow other manufacturers to integrate the chip that Samsung has in their devices into these other devices, probably at a ridiculously cheap cost to the manufacturer, so that Samsung can make money on the other end on the transactions. But I agree with you, Bill. It's a good idea in the sense that it's great for those retro devices, especially down here in the South. You got a lot of places still haven't gotten to the new terminals, or they have a terminal, but they're still using the old terminal. And so it's a great way if you're at a place that doesn't have NFC card terminal, they can still use to purchase your stuff.
It's mind blowing though. If you've seen this, I mean, I went with my brother-in-law to Target. You know, they don't have NFC, and it still worked with that. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
How the heck did this just work? You know, and he has the S8, so I was like, I was blown away. I really honestly don't know how they do that.
I love the commercial where they do the one with Carnegie's Deli, because the guy from Carnegie's like, oh no, we don't have any kind of newfangled stuff. They prided themselves on having an old terminal and stuff like that. Held it up to it. I think there's some kind of sound in the chip, some way it interacts with those things, and it sends a signal to it to process it.
Am I the only one that when I use a regular card, I insert it when I'm supposed to swipe it, and I swipe it when I'm supposed to insert it?
Yes.
That drives me insane.
It's like I'm supposed to insert this card. Oh no, just swipe it. Well, why do you have the part down here?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's not turned on yet.
Yeah.
One place told me it was $20,000 to turn it on, like some mom and pop, little convenience store. And I'm like, okay.
So much for security, huh?
The rest of the world says hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, let's put your card in this little machine and then print it, and you sign here.
I mean, I love the fact we're just now getting to like chip and pin. We're just doing the chip. We still haven't done the pin part for it. Whereas most of like Europe and the rest of the civilized world or even moving past that now for better security.
Yeah. there's a few places where I can go and never have my wallet out. Like when I go to my little RC car racetrack, they have a Square setup, and they can take your Android Pay or your Apple Pay or whatever. So I never have to actually get my wallet out. And then there's a Subway there, and every time I go in there, they tell me that we can't do that. And then a second later, they're like, "How did you do that?" I'm like, I just held it up to your scanner.
You need to use the line from Jay and Bob Strike Back. Don't mess with the Jedi Master.
That's right. You too could do this. What kind of phone do you have? An S8? Well, duh, you can do it too. Really?
Do it on any terminal with the S8.
I have my own debit card. Is it possible? Like,
that's one thing I have to say. One of the places I shop a lot at, Trader Joe's, they actually support Android Pay, the Apple Pay, all that, and their things do a really good job of it. Just pop your phone down. Bloop.
Yeah. So the more the merrier. Bring it on. If people are going to do that, I'm excited. That'd be fantastic. I don't know that other manufacturers will be too keen on adopting Samsung Pay, but if you get past the Samsung part, it'd be a good thing.
And it's possible what we may see is the technology, they'll let them have the chip and then access to the patent. And you may see a completely different implementation from a manufacturer, but using the technology so that theirs works. It isn't necessarily a unified pay system, but if it'll work at any terminal, whatever you
wonder if they could get it into the iPhone.
It'd be interesting considering they've had a history of working together on other things.
Well, I mean, basically probably done through an app some way. Yeah. And I don't know, I guess they'd have to have access to the chip, which I don't know if Apple would allow that,
Well, what they would do is that they would probably implement it the way Apple does their NFC. It's a secure chip. That chip would just be part of it, which is separate from the rest of the phone.
Right. Interesting. We know Apple Pay is far superior than anything anyway, so.
Just like Apple Maps, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't even know where that is on my phone. I think I deleted it.
Recalculating.
Well, you're here and not lost, so.
Yeah. That's because he opened Google Maps.
I actually use Waze. Love Waze. Waze is great.
Because of the traffic.
Yeah, it's the best.
Although, me and Bill
saved me some tickets.
Bill and I were talking about this. I think they go a little too far though with there is a vehicle stopped on the side.
Yeah, that's a little aggressive with people's. I just don't even respond to them, and then they kind of go away once you pass them.
Yeah,
I think it just kind of deletes it. But anyway,
yeah, and something we didn't have about Waze. Android Auto now supports Waze. It's been in the beta for a little bit, but now it's been officially released. Have either of you tried it out?
I have not.
I don't have it.
I thought don't you have to have a head unit for it?
Not anymore. You can just run it.
Oh, that's good.
Or your tablet. Or your whatever. So if you wanted to stick a tablet up on just sit it over on the airbag and just kind of leave it sitting there. And that way it'll be jettisoned away if, something happens. Don't do
Who has Android Auto here? Anybody?
I do not.
No, I don't either.
I haven't really used it. Although I may be doing it given the rumors of the Pixel having no headphone jack.
Pixel 2.
So, Microsoft, Google Instant Search is dead. Long live Google Instant Search. And I don't remember using it a whole lot. The reasoning behind this is that most searches are now done on mobile. And I guess it was too much effort to keep doing instant.
Yeah, well, it's not so much. It was, from what I understand, that's the whole thing where it started searching as you typed, and so to make it ubiquitous across all of the platforms, they had to get rid of it. I liked it when I was, especially on the desktop, because you could start seeing if you were typing something right, because it would start filling in the searches. But I could see, especially on mobile, that would be way more data usage as well. Although what's interesting is some of the stories are making fun of the fact that Melissa Meyer, the former CEO of Yahoo, this was one of her projects before she left Google. And they're like, one other thing that she's done that's just gone away.
All right, Microsoft Paint. It's also dead. Well, it's moving to the Windows Store, but does anybody really use Paint?
Surprisingly, more than you would think. I know I don't use it as much, but I do know people that is basically their Photoshop because they can do real quick stuff, especially my sister and other people, parents that need to do real quick crap for their kids that they tell them like the night before. And so they're able to put together some crafts and stuff with Paint it's amazing in looking for alternatives like on Chrome OS and Android for alternatives to Paint as well as for like Mac OS, finding a Paint alternative. It's amazing how it's hard to find one app that does everything that Paint does. That's a 32-year-old app. Because I mean, you get some they can do the drawing and stuff, but they can't copy and paste multiple things into the canvas. I mean, you think you kind of take it for granted until you try to find an alternative.
Right. Gotcha.
But the good thing is it looks like the rumors of its demise were over exaggerated, that it's still going to be in the Windows Store, but it looks like they're trying to push Paint 3D instead.
3D?
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Apparently.
We're over the 3D thing.
That and curved TVs.
Right. All right. So ThinkGeek and GameStop have been hoarding NES classics, but they're already sold out. So I guess too bad, so sad. Should have checked our show notes earlier.
Well, what's interesting about it, though, is supposedly they're sold out everywhere. Even GameStop in their stores were sold out. Well, GameStop is the parent company for ThinkGeek, and apparently they were able to get at least 300 of these things and then sell them as bundles because, that's the good GameStop way to do things.
Oh, yeah. So they charge more.
Yeah. The cheapest, I think, bundle was like 140. Of course, that's still cheaper than what they're going for on eBay and Amazon, and you actually know it's legit, but it's kind of messed up that at the time when you're supposed to be selling these, apparently they hoarded them for selling later.
Huh. Interesting. Well, I don't have a NES Classic, but what I do have is a what is that called with the Raspberry Pi?
RetroPie?
RetroPie. I always get that screwed up.
That's like emulators, right? Is that what that is?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's better than a NES Classic because it's got all kinds of stuff.
Yep. Including old school Atari.
There you go.
Who's apparently coming out with a box, a new system.
So Sling TV is going to start hosting pay-per-view events this weekend with UFC. I haven't tried it because I don't have a need for Sling TV, but I hear good things about it from people that do need it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard differing opinions on it as well as the PlayStation View, but
I hear more people
they all have
PlayStation stuff. Apparently, it's more robust.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the first ones to have a more consistent system, and it had more local channels initially.
It's nice to have options, I guess. I mean, yeah, they all have their positives and negatives. I would imagine.
Yeah, there currently isn't one to rule them all right now.
Well, and I guess we can start to get into our panel topic, which is home media setups and cord cutting, because I have a few thoughts on that. And I guess it all comes down to how much inconvenience are you really willing to put up with to cut your cord? And let's be honest, I don't know anybody that really cut the cord. Everybody just moved their stuff around, right? So they paid money to their, whoever their ISP is for internet. You've got to have internet pretty much. So you're not really cutting any cord, you're just moving it to a different cord. And so like Donnie, he uses Hulu primarily. I still pay for cable. Why do I do that? Well, when I start to weigh out something like a Sling TV, which is somewhat a la carte, and I think it starts at what, $25 a month, $30 a month.
I think that's correct.
And it has some limited channel availability. It's a little tricky to watch live TV if you don't have the right device to do that. For me, I guess I'll go ahead and get into what my setup is, and then we can start to talk about everybody else's, because that'll kind of set the stage for not really a showdown, but kind of a good chat about what's better and why. And at the end of the day, you've really got to pick which one fits your home better. And, there's no one size fits all, but we live in a time where you've got tons of solutions, and most of them are not very expensive anymore. So I'm using my internet provider, which is also my cable TV provider, which is Time Warner / Spectrum. We're getting Google Fiber here pretty soon, and you can bet that I will be ditching Google Fiber, Spectrum
AT&T.
for Google Fiber.
Aren't you getting AT&T as well? Their fiber?
Yeah, they have not actually. They left a bunch of flyers and stuff, and they have not rolled it out yet. They've done all the cable and everything, but they want a year contract, and we're probably less than a year away from Google Fiber. So I think I'm going to hold out. Plus, they've got some kind of lame bandwidth caps. So I have 300 meg service from Spectrum. I don't know why. Time Warner, Spectrum, they're terrible. I hate them. But I have cable and internet from them. So, and for quite a long time, in order to do DVR and in order to do the cable, TV watching, is I use Windows Media Center. And the reason that I can use Windows Media Center is because it supports cable card. And a cable card is a little device that goes inside of whatever device. It's a little card. It goes inside of whatever device you're using. And it basically authorizes that device to stream live TV and to record live TV. So I used to use something which was Ceton InfiniTV, which is like a tuner that goes into a computer. The problem with that is you're stuck to that one computer to do all the media serving. And so in recent years, HD Home Run has come out with some boxes that use cable card, and they allow you to stream that over your network. And so that gets really interesting, because not only am I able now to watch stuff through Windows Media Center through an Xbox 360 or Windows 10, I can also use their app on any of my mobile devices to watch TV. So what does this cost? So I pay about $40 a month for cable TV through my provider. And then I pay $2 a month for each cable card. I have two. And then I pay like $5 for an HD pack. So about $50 a month is what I'm paying. And I have two HD Home Run Primes. So I have 6 tuners. My Windows Media Center computer is a 2009 MacBook Pro, which is no longer supported by Apple. And I'm running Windows 7 on it, which cost me a whopping $25. And it runs in Boot Camp. It's been running for 6 months, I think, since I had an older computer, a Lenovo, and I started having some issues with the hardware. And rather than spending $400 or $500, I just repurposed this MacBook Pro. So basically what I do is I set up Windows Media Center. It recognizes my cable card tuners, and it works just like a TiVo or your cable company DVR. You go in, you tell it what you want to record. You can do season passes. It has guide information. One of the cool things is, if you're watching through an Xbox 360, you can pretty much watch anything you want on your network. You can pause it in one place, pick it up in another place. It's all recorded locally, so you can add as much storage as you want. And it supports DRM, so it supports all the HD stuff. What you don't get, which I really don't care about, is any on-demand stuff. And the way I get around that is by using the Time Warner app. On Xbox or whatever, you can go in and you can do on-demand stuff. So that's kind of my setup in a nutshell. Do you guys have any questions? Did I explain that well enough? Do you think that people would understand?
I think so. Mine is similar. And then you and I have been talking about this, Bill. I actually picked up just got my second HD home run in. I actually got them pretty cheap because if you go to Silicon Dust's website, they actually sell them through their shop. You can get a refurb from them for like $80. And so I ended up picking up 2 of those, which is just barely more than getting a new one by itself. I set mine up on those. I only had a Windows 10 box, so part of the problem with Windows 10 is they killed out Media Center. There's been some efforts to try to bring it back into Windows 10, but there's a lot of issues with HD Home Run, with the tuners not wanting to be recognized. But in the meantime, what I've been using instead of setting up a Windows 7 Media Center box is using HD Home Run's DVR service. That's still in kind of beta, but it actually works really well for what I've been working when doing. They have a Windows 10 app. Anything that's Windows 10, the Surface, a PC that's Windows 10, as well as Xbox One and higher, so that means 1 and 1S, you can basically see DRM channels. And so you can watch them live. The only drawback, and this is why I've kind of looked at maybe doing the Windows 7 Media Center setup, you cannot record DRM channels. And you're obviously limited to those Windows type supported devices. But for most of my purposes, there's only a few DRM channels because my cable is a little bit more expensive. Because the HD packet for digital and everything costs a little more. But except for a few of the higher end digital channels, most of my stuff is just HD that I actually watch. And so it's not a problem for me. But those things that are DRM, the standard definition versions are not DRM. So I can kind of get around for the 1 or 2 shows I occasionally might need to record. I can record the SD version, and on the Xbox or on the computer through the Home Run app, it actually doesn't look that bad.
Yeah, and something that they're getting ready to, well, they keep saying they're coming out with it. They have support for running their DVR on a NAS.
Yes.
So you can have network attached storage and the HD Home Run boxes on your network and not have a computer involved at all.
Yeah.
You can do that today, but it doesn't support DRM. And DRM, if you don't know, is digital rights management. It's essentially what lets the cable company or whoever's providing the content secure that so you can't steal it.
Yeah. And the idea is that's where if you've ever heard the saying copy once, copy never, that's what they market. That's DRM channels where they market, so that unless you have a cable box or a TiVo, it can be a problem. Windows 7 Media Center can get around a lot of that, but other devices can't. And so with the Windows 10, like you were talking about, Bill, the Ceton and stuff like that, a lot of those pretty much have gotten no support anymore for a lot of things. A lot of things have gone to HD Home Run because they're networked. In fact, one of the other things I've been testing out, because you're somewhat limited for DRM, it doesn't support DRM yet, but for the Apple side and for Apple TV and iOS channels, actually is gone all in on HD Home Run, and they support it. And they've actually come out with their own cloud DVR service. I think it's $8 a month. But as of right now, they're behind the HD Home Run's own DVR service because it doesn't let you watch DRM. You can only watch and record non-DRM.
So Brian, why don't you tell us about your setup? Because I don't want to leave you out of this discussion since you don't happen to have these HD Home Runs.
No, I pretty much I basically use Uverse right now. I'm renting. I sold my home. People that know me know that I sold my home in December, and my wife and I are currently having a new home built. So I'll decide, I guess, at that time, November, when we hopefully close on that. But right now, I think I've done the Media Center and the, back in the day. I mean, I had the Media Center. I did all this stuff, and to me personally, I think that's all clunky. I think it's all stuff that you have to manage it. I mean, update. It wasn't worth it to me. To me, with the way the systems are, I previously had Comcast, which we could get into providers, but they did have X1, which is a really great. I mean, that was a nice system, and there really was no purpose in me having Home Run this and that. I mean, these were any room DVRs. You could view anywhere on my tablets, phones. I could do it. You know, I didn't have to even be in the house on the network. And that's kind of the way Uverse is now for me. I tried Uverse because they had a kind of a good deal where I'm renting right now. And Uverse is just it's user friendly. It does everything that I want. I don't have to manage anything. I still have my Chromecasts on each TV, and I have Amazon Fire TV, and I have one Apple TV. I just don't think, for me, managing this kind of home media stuff really doesn't give any benefits to. I mean, what your guys are saying is, I mean, I've done that stuff, and to me, it's no benefit than what I'm currently. I mean, I probably pay a little more, maybe in the end, because I know that my AT&T Uverse bill is about $160 a month, but that's including my internet and everything. I don't have to worry about it. I mean, I watch what I want, when I want, where I want, and it's done. And to me, that's just, at this point, you know, it's like, I just don't want to manage all those other hardware, you know, stuff like that. So we all, you know, whatever works for everybody, I think, you know, that's key, you know.
I mean, part of the reason I did this was to save money, because the cable company charges, I don't know, $8 or $10 for each box, plus this, plus that, and you end up spending another $100 something a month on equipment. And so, you know, I want the convenience of being able to turn on a TV and watch whatever, whenever I want. But I was okay with and honestly, it's about I don't know, I'm going to say it took me 5 hours total to set up the computer and configure the tuners and whatnot. And then you need an Xbox 360 or something else to actually view it. So, you know, total cost, I'm probably in for $200. And so I'm saving over $100 a month. So it pays for itself really quickly. And, you know, that to me is better for me and the way we watch TV versus like trying to piecemeal stuff together in a Sling TV or a Hulu or something like that, and trying to track down and manage all the stuff. I just set my passes and then boom, it's there when I want to watch it. And I don't really have to worry about it.
Right. I don't, you know, like even this cord cutting thing, that's a whole really another topic, you know. But to me, I just never thought of it as being really cost effective, because in the end, I mean, you're buying Hulu, you're renting Hulu, then you got Netflix for the other stuff, which is, you know, $13 a month or whatever, give or take. And then this is $30. Then you got DirecTV Now, which is this amount. You end up almost, in the end, depending on what your needs are and what, you know, your family watches and views. I don't know. It's always been easier to keep at least basic cable or something else, you know, to me. I don't know.
I know that's not the same for everybody.
No.
You really got to figure out what works for your family. And if you're fine with kind of chasing your content down or having a list that you keep up with in some service, by all means. I mean, we got used to having TiVos way early, and we've had them for a long time. And then this was kind of the next best solution that didn't cost any money other than the upfront cost.
So you're saying that you only pay a few dollars a month just for the cable card, you're saying. So I know like Comcast has, if I decide to maybe go back to them in the new home, I can get cable cards, which would be cheaper than renting boxes, obviously, you know.
Yeah, $2 a month for the cable cards for each of them. So I pay $4 for that, and $40 for their cable package, which includes HD, but doesn't include any of the equipment.
Yeah, because in my case, that's what kind of what Bill and I are doing is more what you call cord shaving. I got tired because Cox, they charge you, it's like $8.50 per box, and then if you have like the 6 tuner DVR, it's $19.99 a month for DVR service. So they kind of charge you almost like TiVo does. And so I was looking for anything to kill some costs. And I do think ultimately the HD home run stuff, once the NAS fully does DRM and everything with their DVR service, which is only $35 a year, that's it'll really be set it up and forget it. And I mean, I forgot to mention, you can also use the free Android app on your Android tablets, and it doesn't support DRM, but you can watch all your other stuff. So, it's kind of ubiquitous. You can watch it anywhere that you have signal at your house, and so it's nice so that if you need multiple boxes, you're not paying the cable company for all those boxes. And I agree with you, Ryan. I don't think I could ever just completely get rid of cable. The only way I could ever see myself getting rid of cable completely with Direct TV Now, I grandfathered in on the $35. I figured just keep it. It's helpful on the go if I want to watch the show. They're coming out with their cloud-based DVR. If they do it, all the channels I get on it, or everything I want to watch is on those. That I wouldn't need cable at that point.
I was stupid because I signed up for that and then I canceled it. Well, I was having a lot of streaming issues with it, and it wasn't because of my internet. It was just I was getting errors, and this was in the very beginning. When it first.
Oh yeah, it was pretty bad.
I was doing it through the Apple TV, okay, but I don't know if that might have been an issue. But
I'll say
and then I canceled it. I figured, well, I'll just re-sign up for it. Well, when I went to re-sign it wouldn't let me re-sign up. It said you have to wait till I'm like, because I was like, so I got, I wanted to really keep that in effect too for $30-something a month. Now it's like 70, I think, or something.
Yeah. For that one, it's 60.
Is it 60? Okay.
Yeah, for the 100 channels, because they have 120 channels. I looked at what the other 20 channels were. I didn't need them.
No, I really hosed myself bad. Bigly.
What was nice is I paid.
Bigly.
I may actually be able to save $15 a month eventually by getting rid of HBO on my cable side, because it's $5 with DirecTV Now, and you get HBO Go login for it and logins for all your apps with it too. So I mean, one of the other things I've used because of the DRM issue, I actually set up, since I already had the Windows 10 box to do my recording for HDO Home Run, I set up a Play On where they had during the 4th of July, they had the lifetime license 50% off. Signed up for it, and it'll let you time shift all those apps you log into with your cable provider, as well as Netflix, Amazon, all those things. You can HBO Go, you can basically program it to when those shows come out, record it, and then you watch it locally on your network.
Let me ask you something, guys. This HD Home Run, this is just, I'm trying to think ahead for myself as well, but how is it as far as user friendliness and stuff? So like, your wife, Bill, or whatever, wants to turn on a TV in one of the rooms or whatever and watch something. I mean, how easy is it to navigate, or how do you have these these home runs on like certain TVs, like your main, like living room, say, and then bedroom, whatever? Or where do you
work? So,
okay.
What happens is they sit in a closet on my network, and the Xbox is a Windows Media Center extender, and so it runs Windows Media Center, and it looks just like Windows Media Center that you would pull up on Windows 7. And so you get a typical guide that overlays on the screen. It has an interface for doing recording. It works with a remote control. I have a Harmony remote, so when you hit the activity to watch TV, it turns the Xbox on, it turns the surround sound on, it turns the TV on, and then the Windows Media Center comes up. You can go right into live TV, or you can go into recorded TV. That's kind of the most acceptable version for my wife. Now the HD Home Run is it's still a work in progress as far as their app and their DVR. The guide isn't nearly as nice, and the use of the remote I didn't find it to be quite as easy to navigate. What do you think, Patrick?
I will say on some of those points, yes. The guide, it by no means is it hard. I've actually already taught my dad how to use it because I'm turning my boxes back in tomorrow. The only thing I don't like is it doesn't have your traditional guide where it's like the grids and everything like that. Through the app, it's as simple as opening the app up, and like if you're using it on a computer or an Xbox One or on Android, it pops up the app. It's got the play, pause, rewind controls on the bottom. Your channel listing is on the right-hand side. For the computer, I've actually set my dad's up because his TV was in his bedroom was above his computer. So I just set it up as a second monitor on his computer. And so when he opens that app, it's like he's still watching TV. Got him a wireless remote that has numbers and a keyboard on the backside. All he has to do is push the numbers like you would on a regular remote, hit the OK button, and it automatically tunes to that channel. But what Bill was saying about the guide, the way it works with the DVR service for them, when you go down to your channel with the guides, if you're paying the $35 a year, you can scroll to the right and it will show you upcoming shows every 30 minutes, and you can look up to 14 days in the future. But if you know what shows you usually record, it kicks you out of live view, but you can go into what they call their record view for lists, and you can search for any show you want, and it will show you every channel where that show is coming on over the next 14 days. And all you do is double click on it and you can set it to record, and it will record on its own, and you can go back and watch it later. And it actually does a really good job. Once you record shows, it actually has big tiles of the images, almost like you would see like in iTunes or something, where it shows you these shows you've recorded. So, I mean, it works really well. And I will say this, if you're using on the Apple side, even though you don't get DRM right now, the Channels app, it's like $14.99 for the one-time purchase, but it does actually do a better job of for a guide. It's a traditional guide like you would get on cable, where it pops up and it's the channels going down and then having the time across where you can switch, and you can watch your stuff through it too. And it works on the Apple TV 4th gen.
They have an app for it.
They have an app for it. Unfortunately, you have to pay. You have to pay for it, both iOS and for the Apple TV OS. But if they're actually working hand in hand with HD Home Run, they're kind of one of their Apple for the Apple side for their support. And if they get the DRM figured out, they're going to have their own $8 a month DVR service. It'd be easy, because then all you'd need is an Apple TV, because it'll be all cloud based. So there won't be no need for a NAS or anything else. Now, I do think, like Bill was saying, the NAS stuff, once that gets fully implemented, it really will be set it up and forget it. You stick it in a closet, you don't worry about it. You just open up your tablet, your phone, your computer, your Xbox, and watch TV. I mean, it really is that simple. And it took me, I think the longest time it took me was waiting on the phone with Cox to get them to activate the cable card, and then waiting for the first time for it to scan all of my channels. Because there's a web interface too, since they're all networked. You can go in and favorite channels and
Sorry.
But you can favorite your channels. You can actually do just like you do on a cable box and make a channel exit out so it doesn't show up in your listings. And so, I mean, it really is really simplistic. And I would suggest to somebody, if they're thinking about doing it, get you a refurb one from Silicon Dust. That way you're only paying the $70 to $80, and you'll easily recoup that quick. And you get 3 tuners with it. You can stack as many of those you want to your network. The only thing I would caution you may need, at some point, you may need other outlets, because splitters will get to be a problem.
Patrick, why do you think this is any better now than what your previous setup was? You know, I mean, like, what's your benefit? What are you benefiting?
I'm losing. Well, in my case, I'm losing about $40 a month, easy in costs from the cable company for all these boxes,
which is a lot. I mean, if it's like $400 or $500 a year, whatever. Okay, that's a lot. Yeah.
Also, because I already have things like it's with Chromecast, Fire Sticks. I have all these things,
sure,
and tablets. I now have multiple places to watch TV instead of just a couple boxes or having to buy more boxes. I have more control of where and how I watch stuff at home. And as they integrate with things like with Plex and with Play On and things like that, you're going to be able to have even cheaper solutions to kind of customize how you record stuff and watch it later.
Okay. I think you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. So this is Windows Media Center. All right. This is what comes up when you initially launch. You have the option to go into either your recorded TV. You can see the guide. Let me pull that up real quick. I'm in Team Viewer, so it's probably going to be a little wonky. So I'll pull this in advance. So there's my.
So this pops up on your main TV, like say in your living room or whatever.
Yeah. So this would be how you navigate, but you can do this with the remote. So you can
Right.
page up, page down, whatever. You can also go into live TV. And hopefully this isn't going to be super loud.
To make the field perfect. Everyone's.
So I'm going to switch to another channel. There we go. All right.
So you're really dependent on how your network runs, as far as broadband connection and all that as well, because you're essentially streaming that.
But it won't be as broadband, because if you're it's going to be whatever your wireless, or if you're.
I love this flooring we did too.
What's going on back there? What are you told?
Where's the grass? It's not good.
Wow.
All right. Sorry. So it's just streaming locally. It's not actually going over the network.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
So if as long as you have AC, or if you have, like, I have Cat 6 ran everywhere in my house, you're going to get good quality service.
Gotcha.
Yep. Okay. And so you can also set it up so you can do your pictures and videos over the network. You can play music if you've got that. Here's my recorded TV. This, I usually look at it on a list, and you can see it by date recorded or by title. And so you can kind of see the taste we have. My kids have stuff, and then I have car stuff. But you can navigate all this through the remote app, and that works really well. And then you can also go in, like, say, the middle. And when you go in here, you actually have a synopsis. You can look at series information. And I think I clicked. Yeah. So you can see when I've got it set up to record. And then you can choose all that stuff. And then I've also got an app called My Media Center. And that runs on Android, and that actually lets me interact with this through an app, and I can see the guide information. I can schedule stuff to record. I can manage my series, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to stop sharing because I don't want to dominate with just this, but I figured it'd be helpful if you guys were able to kind of see that, and at least have a good understanding of kind of what that looks like.
Yeah, I've used that before.
Okay. And so it's basically like using Windows Media Center on your computer, only with the live TV stuff in there as well.
Yeah. And I shared in the stream for us a picture of what the Windows 10 app looks like. I know, Bill, you saw it because I sent it to you saying it's alive earlier.
Oh, yeah, I have it. That's the way the Android app looks too.
Yes. I mean, it's really simplistic, Brian. That's, if you see it in the stream, that's where the only thing is where the channels are on the right-hand side. As you scroll to the right, it shows you what's in the future on that channel. Okay. And then I sent in our Hangout for our normal Hangout, I sent a picture of what the channels guide looks like, which actually looks more like a regular guide. So I'm actually hoping when the HD home run DVR service gets out of beta, they'll move towards that kind of live.
So I have to have something that's totally user friendly, because my wife is not going to be very patient with me if I have some kind of.
I'll say this: the Windows 10 works as soon as you open it. It's that simple.
Right.
Yeah. Let me show your screenshot here as well, Patrick. So that is the guide information in the HD Home Run app that runs on Windows 10, and the Android app looks exactly the same.
So does the Xbox One if you're using the Home Run app.
Yep.
And so the only difference is where the channels are listed, as you're going through those channels, if you hit to the right, it'll show you what's going in the future up to 7 days if you don't have a subscription for the DVR service, up to 14 days if you do. And right now the subscription is only $35 a year.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that $3 a month, that's totally worth it.
And if you see on the bottom, the little 3 bars that looks like a menu in Android, that brings you to your record listing. It shows you what you have scheduled to record, to set recordings, things of that sort.
Yep. So So there's tons of really good stuff out there now, and some of it requires more work than others. Some of it, the way I got my wife kind of on board with it, she was okay after when I first brought home the TiVo. She kind of gave me this look like, why do we even need that? But we were still using a VCR at the time, so I mean that was a
It's
revolution.
like a major upgrade. Yeah.
Yeah. So in order to kind of migrate from the TiVo and save the money there, I actually started setting up the computer and using it myself without forcing them to switch. And then I put an Xbox in the living room and said, if you want to try it out, here it is. If not, just use the TiVo. It's fine. And I spent about a month trying to, back in the day, this was like probably 7 years ago, kind of fine tuning things and tweaking things. And, next thing I know, everybody's using it. Everybody's comfortable with it. So we turned off the TiVos and saved all that money every month. And it's been fine ever since.
I went with kind of an accelerated version of that. I activated it 2 weeks ago. I used it mostly, showed my dad how to use it, started getting him to play around using it, and then gave him an ultimatum. You might want to start playing with this because in 2 weeks I'm getting rid of the boxes. But I made sure it was set up, got him a remote, tried to make it as easy as for him as possible. And I mean, it really is that simple. He actually sat there and watched. I had to remind him later, you got to close the app, otherwise the tuner stays active.
Yeah.
Which won't be a problem once I add the extra HDM home run, but
yeah. I mean, 6 tuners is plenty. We got by before with 4, but yeah, it's definitely requires some work. But I think in the end, if you'd like to do that and get it set up, it doesn't really require any maintenance. I mean, I reboot my machine about once a month, just kind of because. But other than that, there's really not a lot of maintenance. I don't even worry about doing the upgrades on Windows very much. About every 2 months I do them, and it's been fine.
Yeah, and I will say for me, I had a 3 terabyte external drive that was USB 3. I just connected it to this Windows 10 box I picked up pretty cheap at Sam's. It had a terabyte for storage, but it had a 128, the new SSDs, the ones that's like the M2 or whatever it is, that's on the actual motherboard. And so this thing flies, like it turns on in like 2 seconds, and it's perfect for being a hub for all this stuff. And I already had the Xbox, had a Fire Stick, had all those other things. So it was easy. Just any device could access it and watch TV.
Yeah. And so I'm pretty sure everybody's got, at least the people that listen to our show probably have some kind of an old machine sitting around doing nothing. And the HD Home Run really makes it easy to use that because it doesn't require a lot of computing power, and you don't have to have any special ports on your computer. I mean, the MacBook Pro I'm running is literally 9 years old, and I've got a external USB hard drive that is my storage, which is an old laptop drive that I just stuck in an external enclosure and threw it on there. And, $25 Windows 7 key running in boot camp.
And I will say this, to me, this works well because obviously some people, it makes sense to go with the true cord cutting, but you got to have internet for that. And so either you're using mobile or you're using home. And a lot of the companies, the ISPs, are the ones you're getting away from for their TV. They're starting to add caps on their data at home. So at least this one, once it doesn't actually use any streaming data because it's all local to your network.
Yep. So if you've got questions, you're listening and you're like, what was he talking about? He was rambling and they're probably talking about me, but shoot us an email, podcast@thesimulcast.com, and we'll do our best to kind of explain things. Or if you're getting started and you're running into some issues, or maybe you just want to bounce some ideas off of us, shoot us an email or hit us up on Twitter or something. We'll be glad to help. We can always revisit this topic at some point in the future, especially after Patrick and I have more time to play around with the HD Home Run DVR, which is, I think, got a lot of potential.
Yeah.
So that's kind of home media and cord cutting, and we'll I think that was kind of fun.
Yeah, and I think if you have questions or if you have some ideas of things we didn't talk about, let us know because we're always looking to see what's out there.
Yep, definitely. So let's move on to the casting couch. That's where we talk about what we're playing, watching, reading, listening to. This week, I finally actually found a few hours to start Orange is the New Black, which I know has been out since like June. But I finally just now got started on it. I'm about halfway through the season, and I don't love it. It's just gotten too drawn out, too political, too, I don't know. I'm just bleh. Could do without it. I'm going to probably finish out the season, but not loving it.
For me, Game of Thrones, obviously.
Woohoo!
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Although it's
So
kinda,
good.
it sucks that it's almost over. I keep telling myself just enjoy it while it's here. The good
When's
news
it going to
is
be over next year?
next year. I think there's supposed to be 4 episodes. They're questioning whether it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be regular episodes. It's going to be longer, like miniseries type.
Okay.
But there's already rumors that they may be not 1 but 2 things using the whole storyline for this to make 2 other shows, like doing something prehistory or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see what they do because it's such a moneymaker for them. So many people I know have HBO just for the show. The other thing, I haven't really watched the show because I don't have that channel, but I started reading the book American Gods, and it's been good so far. I've been told read the book first anyway.
Nice.
So what about you, Brian?
Definitely Game of Thrones. That was on my list. Two episodes in, it's awesome. Love it. If you're not watching that, I mean, I don't know. I'm one of those, Patrick, that I basically subscribe to HBO. Was it Now? I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I pay my $15 a month, rip off whatever, but it's worth it to me. I don't even care because it's that good of a show.
Because to go back to what we had, you wouldn't let you go back to DirecTV Now, so you could have had the $5.
Yeah, I could have. Yeah, I hosed myself, but that's another.
And then, of course, for the people who stayed, they gave, and that had HBO, they gave it to you for a year for free.
Yeah, I missed out on that too. And I'm also watching Ballers. That's on. That's with The Rock. It's a great show if you're into like football, and I'm a Hurricane fan, so I'm like, I like it. It's a good show. You have to be kind of into sports, but it's more about like sports management and stuff. If you've ever seen it, I don't know. Have you ever seen it, Patrick?
I've actually watched. I've watched part of it. It's on my list to actually sit down and watch.
It's really good. It's worth it. And that's pretty much what I'm watching right now. Everything else is on hiatus or gone. I guess Prison Break's gone. That apparently is not being renewed already. I think I talked about that the last time. Did you hear about that?
I didn't know they weren't renewing it.
Yeah. I think it's canceled. It apparently didn't get much viewers. I don't know. And the demographic, I guess the age, they just didn't like the amount of views. So, but anyway, that's it. That's what I'm watching.
Okay, well, we'll move on to picks of the week. My pick this week is kind of a lame one because it doesn't exist yet. But there are some rumored specs and CAD drawings and renderings of the Google Pixel 2. And I got to say, I'm super stoked. Generally, when I think it was Android Police posted them from one of the well-known leakers.
Yes.
So it's probably going to be pretty close to what we get. And I'm excited because they haven't strayed too far from the original Pixel. But they also have kind of refined it and made it look a little bit more grown up. They've, gotten rid of the bezels, stereo speakers. Supposedly there's no headphone jack, which I could take or leave. And best of all, there is no light bar on it, which means more sales for me. So anxiously awaiting that.
That looks sexy though. The rendering, the video I watched. I think I even posted it on Twitter the other day. That was a nice rendering. If it's something like that, that's pretty nice, you know.
And I'm looking forward to if it is 4 gigs of RAM and 64 or 128 gigs. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just going to get the bigger one. I mean, I can get by with the smaller one, but if I'm going to have the thing for a year, which I pretty much am, then I'm just not even going to bother with the smaller one.
Yeah, I mean, I went with the 128, and I wouldn't go back and change that at this point.
I might be okay with the 64. 32 is enough, but it's not comfortable long term.
Yeah,
like
especially if you download like stuff from Netflix or something on the go, things of that sort, or do video. If you use it as your way to record videos.
I saw that refurb today. I posted on Twitter. That was only 32 gigs though, and I'm a little leery on that. I don't go back to that.
That's what I'm using, and it's
fine.
I mean, let me look and see how much storage. I have 6 gigabytes free, but I've got most of that is like my photos and videos and stuff and music that's been cached and stuff like that. And I mean, I can go in here and free up space, and it'll tell me what I can get rid of and what I can't. It's super easy. So it's not really that hard to manage, to be honest.
I mean, I could get away with the 32. I'm only using 23.44 gigs, but I like, it's kind of like with data. I like to not have to count.
Yeah, that's it. You don't need unlimited.
Well, it's not that much money, really to get more in the big scheme of things.
And if you're going to resell it, you get a better value in the long term too.
Yeah.
Well, that should be hopefully October-ish, right? September, October, maybe.
Yep, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my pick, we kind of talked about earlier, the HD Home Run, but the HD Home Run DVR. To me, it's still in beta, but for what I use it for, I could be happy with it as it is now. I'd like to be able to record my DRM channels, but after I kind of looked, most of my channels are HD anyway. So really the only thing I'm missing is the ability to record, I think, HBO channels and a few of the HD variety channels that you get. They're marked DRM. Other than that, and all those I can watch on demand as I want with the apps. So it really isn't a deal breaker for me. And for $35 a year, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And it's a fun little project to play around with.
And I will say this, kind of going back to what we said, it takes a little bit to get it set up, but once it's set up, it works.
That's right. It just works.
I'm thinking it might be something I could do. Speaking of the home run, I'm thinking that might work if I had, on a few TVs or something, instead of a box, just buy these and then the cable cards.
Yeah.
I don't have to have like X1 and all this other crap that you spend big money for.
No, you need some way to view it. So you need a Fire TV, Fire Stick, something like that. Do they have an Apple TV app?
You can use channels.
Yeah. So you could do that. You need basically the HD Home Run box just sits in a closet and it feeds the signal to whatever asks for it. And then you can watch it on, which is your box, but you don't need like a cable company box. You can use something really cheap. A cheap Android TV will work.
Well, I have like my Apple TV that's 4th generation. Yeah. I have one actually still in the box.
You can actually you can use a little Raspberry Pi because it supports.
So it'll find it on the network, is what you're saying. I'll go through the app, channels app or whatever, let's say, and then it finds that no matter where it is in the closet somewhere.
Yeah, it'll say so many tuners found, and boom.
Perfect. Okay, that might be something I could look at.
We could surely walk you through it.
Yeah. No, I think that I'm getting it now.
I mean, Amazon sells the HD Home Run box. The only difficult part is getting the cable company to pair your cable card, quite honestly.
And in my case, I had to get them to do that and the switching tuner.
Yeah. But otherwise, I mean, it's super easy, and I'm
sure that's a joy.
You may know a couple people that could help you with it.
Yeah. And I will say this: I thought I was going to need more help from Bill. He'd say, "If you need anything else," and I go, "It's up."
Doing.
Yeah. That's what she said.
That's right. All right. Did you already do your pick, Brian?
No.
There we go.
Do you want to hear?
Yes.
Mine's kind of a lame one also, but I bought the Ring Doorbell Pro.
Yep.
It was on Prime Day. Actually, popped up on Amazon Prime Day. I got it for I think around $150. I had a $25 gift card, but it came up for like $173 minus 25, so whatever that is. So I thought that was a pretty good deal, and I'm not using it yet because I'm going to put it in our new home. But I figured that's a pretty good deal for the Pro version.
That's a really good deal.
Yeah. It's like $249 on the website. So I thought that was a pretty good deal, but I'm looking really forward to using this Ring doorbell. So that was kind of my lame pick.
That's not lame.
I haven't used it. Well, I haven't used it, so I don't. But everybody says good things about it, so it's
it's your pick because you got a really good deal on it.
Yeah, that's true.
On sale, so who cares if it works?
Yeah, no. That's it.
All right. Well, if you want to reach out to the Simulcast, we're pretty easy to get a hold of. You can reach me at Bill Stebbins on Twitter. Patrick is at AXP_Patrick. Brian is at BW Feldy. And Donnie, who normally is with us, is at Donnie Benfield. That's Donnie with a Y. So in closing, you can find us by looking for the Simulcast or TechSide in your podcast client of choice. And you can subscribe to us in Google Play or in iTunes. Take the time to leave a review and comment. Also, be sure and send us an email if you have questions, because we do like to hear from our listeners. You can also support us through our Patreon page. That gives you, our dedicated and loyal listeners, an opportunity to support the podcast for as little as $1 a month. Hey, we like to eat. If you'd like to support us, just go to patreon.com/techside. You can hit us up on Twitter at the Simulcast. You can email us podcast@thesimulcast.com, or you can go to the website techside.net/simulcast. And be sure to check out all the other great podcasts, blogs, photo galleries, and the TechSide store on techside.net. Thanks for joining us for our monthly foray into tech. We will talk to you next time. Good night.
Night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.